240 hours in the title of this video refer to the number of hours it took me to learn this solo. I spent 8 hours a day for about a month carefully navigating the guitar fretboard in order to clearly execute the saxophone lines. This took some time, but not as much time as it took to get the solo up to speed. Oleo was written by Sonny Rollins in 1954, and the piece is based on the rhythm changes. Rhythm changes come from the Gershwin tune I Got Rhythm, which is predominantly based on the 1-6-2-5 chord progression. There are other chords in there and there's a bridge, but it's predominantly 1-6-2-5. The version I transcribed was performed by the Miles Davis Sextet in 1958. It's actually the performance from Jazz at the Plaza. And it features Miles Davis on trumpet, John Coltrane on tenor saxophone, Cannonball Adderley on alto sax, Bill Evans on piano, Paul James on bass, and Jimmy Cobb on drums. This is the classic lineup that went on to record the Kind of Blue album. Now, this performance was held at the Plaza Hotel in New York, and it was some kind of party put on by Columbia Records to celebrate their jazz division. Something must have happened that night, but the band are on fire. I mean, the playing is phenomenal. Especially Cannonball Adderley. I mean, the way he plays on Oleo. The first time I heard it, I was like, God, now there's one solo I'll never be able to play. It's just so fast and so melodic and so rhythmically exciting. And so I forgot about it for a few years. I thought, I will forget it. I'm not going to bother transcribing that. And then a few years later, I heard the track again, and I thought, you know, this really is a beautiful solo. It's just got such great lines. If only I could play that on the guitar. So I gave it a go. I actually transcribed the solo on this thing here. So there was no slowing down to 50%, 75%. I transcribed at tempo, at the actual speed he plays, with the play button, the pause button, you know, play a couple of seconds and pause, and then try and figure it out and play a bit more and figure the rest of it out and then join the lines together. The fact that the play and pause button still worked after I transcribed this solo is a miracle. Then it was just a case of putting all the lines together and getting it up to tempo. As I said, I had to navigate the fretboard and find the most efficient way of playing it, but it was just trying to slowly get it to tempo. While I was learning the solo, I was also transcribing it. I was writing it out in notation. Now, the reason I was notating it was just out of habit. You know, all the solos I had ever transcribed, I wrote them out. So it just seemed the normal thing to do. But also I was fascinated by the lines he was playing over the chord changes. After the 240 hours, I finally had it. I could play along at speed with Cannonball Adderley. But apart from that, I thought, well, what shall I do with it now? I can just forget about it. But I thought, no, let me post it. Let me post it on YouTube, and maybe somebody out there might be interested in seeing what I had done. The next step was to get the camera out and start filming. Now, this was a really tedious process. Excuse me. It took about 3 days to get a good take. So, you know, the most frustrating, the most tedious thing about it is that you're playing along to the solo. The camera's rolling and it's like about 3 minutes in. I mean, this solo is about just over 3 minutes. And you get to maybe like 4 or 5, 6 bars towards just before the ending, and you just play a wrong note or you forget something. And it's just like, oh, God, you have to start all over again. It's so frustrating. It's part of the process, so if you really want to get a good take, that's what you have to do. You have to keep doing it over and over until you get the one. So I posted it in 2011, and to my surprise, I didn't think anybody would be interested, but you know, a lot of people were quite entertained by it. What I can tell you is that the 240 hours were well spent. I have no regrets about spending that time for just over 3 minutes of music. The solo is so loaded with information, really useful information if you're a jazz improviser. From a technical standpoint, melodically, the way he connects his melodic lines and he builds the intensity throughout the solo, it's just amazing. So I've reposted it. Here is the solo in its entirety.